Aloha friends, it's Robert Stehlik. Welcome to another episode of the Blue Planet Show. On this show I interview wingfoil athletes not only about the technique and the gear that they use, but I also try to get to know them a little bit better, their background, what makes them tick, what inspires them, and how they live their best life. It's a long form format, so if you like in-depth information, then you're gonna love this show. So I really appreciate you. I know not everyone has time to watch it on YouTube with the visuals. I think it's great, but you can of course also listen to it as a podcast on the go. Just search your favorite podcast app for the Blue Planet Show. Today's interview is with Kevin and Kaden Pritchard. Kevin Pritchard is a multiple-time windsurf world champion. Him and his brother both, Matt Pritchard. And Matt's son Kaden is 12 years old, and he's only been wingfoiling for about a year, and he's already doing crazy moves, backflips, and he's working on forward flips, and he breaks down technique for me on the Flaka, which really helped me out too. So there's some really good stuff in here, and just the whole story about the Pritchard family living on Maui, basically because a friend gave a windsurf board to Kevin's dad. So that's what led to the whole family living that lifestyle now. So I thought that was great. Really interesting story. Good to see the two generations together, and hope you enjoy this show as much as I did. And without further ado, please welcome the Pritchards. Okay, Kevin and Kaden Pritchard, welcome to the Blue Planet Show. Thanks so much for making some time to join me. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. You've been doing some cool work, so I was like, checking you out on the internet, and it's like, oh, let's do something. Could be cool. We got Kaden, who's starting to really start to rip on the wing foil, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, thanks for reaching out to me. I appreciate that. And and I saw you just kind of starting a YouTube channel and vlogging and all that kind of stuff too, right? So that's cool. I always like to collaborate with other people that try to create content and stuff like that. So it's great to have you guys. And you're both on Maui right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and where are you at? Looks like you got a lot of gear behind you there.
We are in my dad's workshop.
His dad, we have like a little rental windsurfing thing. So renting the wings and stuff over here on Maui, and my brother does a lot of lessons teaching windsurfing, and has he been teaching winging too a little bit?
Yeah, he's been doing a little bit of it.
Okay, Kaden, so your dad is Kevin's brother. That's how you're related. So okay. Yeah. What's your dad's name?
Matt Pritchard.
Matt, okay. So and then Kevin, you've been a long time windsurfer, multiple time world champion and stuff like that. So and what can you talk a little bit about your career? Actually, let's start with where you grew up and how you got into it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I grew up in California, and actually my brother and we started windsurfing together with my parents, and my mom and my dad, and we all used to travel around. We'd go to Hood River, and we lived in California, so we just started. My dad was addicted to it, so he just took us with us, and we all fell in love with the sport, and it was super fun, and just started windsurfing all the time, and we got into it, and then my brother moved to Maui in '92, I think it was, and then I moved in '94, and then we just started doing the world tour together, and just like step by step got better and better, and then it was awesome. He won a bunch of world titles, and I won some world titles, so it's crazy how a sport can take you and kind of change your life. It's like we started in California together, and now our whole family's here, and then he's had a family with 2 kids, and it's pretty fun watching Kaden grow up too, kind of in the mix of, you know, what we used to do as a family, like go and windsurf and all this stuff. And my dad, his grandfather is kind of, I would say he's his biggest like person helping him go down to the beach and doing winging. And my dad's learned to wing and he's like 70, so they go down together all the time, and it's pretty cool. So we've got a great family atmosphere that we've had all our lives, and to see it kind of getting passed down has been fun.
Yeah. Cool. So how old are you now?
I'm 45.
And what about you, Kaden?
I am 11.
11. All right. Cool. So when did you stop competing professionally as a windsurfer, or are you still competing, or?
No, I'm done. I would say it's pretty cool. I won the Aloha Classic in 2000, and then I won it in 2017, I think it was, or 2016. So having like I had an amazing career of 16 years of, you know, still being, you know, near the top. And that was kind of one of my best moments, was just, you know, like 16 years later beating these kids out at Hokipa. You know, it was kind of special conditions with big waves and weird conditions, but still it was a good feeling to kind of end your career on top. And you know,
that's awesome. So that was only 4 years ago you won the Aloha Classic, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome. So and
yeah,
then
and
what
nowadays I do a bunch of testing for the windsurfing company Ezzy Sales, and kind of got more into that, you know, kind of brand ambassador, and still windsurfing every day. It's good, and testing the equipment, testing the gear, and kind of using the knowledge of all those years of competing and windsurfing to, you know, make products better and things like that.
So what do you do now mostly? Like where do you live mostly, and what do you do, and so on?
Nowadays I live on Maui and kind of just have fun. I get to, you know, go winging. If it's like right now in the summertime, I haven't gone yet, but last summer I went a couple times, and I just like the variety right now, you know, just kind of, if it's good for kiting, go kiting. If it's good for windsurfing, go windsurfing, you know, kind of, you know, unless it's like there's you know, different seasons of when sales come out. So, you know, when it's a busy test season, I'm testing the windsurfing gear, and then otherwise just having fun.
Yeah, I'm just gonna play your this is like your new YouTube channel, I guess, and this is in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So do you spend a lot of time in Mexico, or what, in Baja?
Yeah, this is kind of where my brother and I would come down, and we kind of I would say we learned wave sailing here, because we, you know, it was probably an 8-hour drive from Southern California, and we would come down to this spot and learn to wave ride. So it was like a kind of it's a long wave, so you get a lot of turns, and you can work on your sailing technique really easily. So I think it's one of the best spots in the world for progressing your, you know, your sailing or your whatever. When I was down here, there's this guy out there winging, and he was catching like, I don't know, 300 waves a day or something ridiculous like that. But it's pretty cool. Definitely a good spot.
So that got you interested in foiling as well?
Yeah. You know,
how is that going? Like, I guess you were talking about just starting to foil and kind of struggling with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think the windsurfer on the foil is the hardest device. I don't know why. Either maybe nobody has really stepped up the R&D with it, but the wave windsurf foiling, I don't know. I've struggled with it. You just have so much power in the sail, you know, where the wing, you can just get rid of it. And same with the kite, where the windsurfing, it's hard. I don't know. I had a hard time with it anyways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I actually haven't even really tried windsurfing with a foil. I mean, I used to windsurf all the time, but with the foil, I think it's like a whole different thing. And yeah, I think the foil and the wing just work really well together. Like you said, you can depower it and ride the wave more like surfing the foil rather than using the wind power. Yeah.
It's pretty cool to watch him and see how like confident, like I see him do like these carving little things with the foil, and I think, man, if I could do that on a windsurf board, which, you know, kind of would be the goal, it would be cool. But I don't know. I guess I got to put more time into it. Like, he's on the water all the time, so on the foil, where I'm not quite used to the foil as much as I should be, I guess.
So in Baja, you also you run like camps as well, like
my brother does, and that's where it would be. You know, like I was saying, it's just awesome for like, you know, just the waves are just endless. So for learning, it's incredible. You know, it'd be fun to do a clinic with this kid down there if he could be in the cold water, but
I don't know.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. Well, Kaden, let's talk a little bit about you now. So how did, I guess you're 11 years old, obviously you still go to school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was your school this year?
Where do you go to school?
What?
Which school do you go to?
I made homeschooled this past year.
Nice.
I've been getting a lot of time on the water. And then next year I'm going to Seabury.
So, I mean, obviously you can't drive yet. So how do you get to the beach? Who takes you and so on?
Well, my grandpa has been taking me basically every time I want to go for like since June, I would say, right? Since June last year.
So is that part of your homeschooling PE program? It's going wing foiling?
Yeah, that's what I did. And now it's summer, so.
Yeah, now you got time off.
Yeah.
So are you born and raised on Maui?
Yes, yeah.
Nice. And how did you how did you get into water sports? Like, what's your earliest memory of surfing or water sports, so on?
Well, I started surfing with my dad when I was like 3. And then when I was like 5 or 6, I started doing it by myself. And I loved it. And that's what I did till I was like 9 or 10. And I still do it, but then I got into windsurfing. And then one day, my grandpa came to my house and just said, let's go wing. And I didn't really want to go, but then I went down there and I loved it.
And so when was this, about a year ago or 2 years ago, or do you remember how long ago that was?
It was a year ago on June 1st.
Wow, so pretty much exactly in 1 year, and now you're doing all these crazy moves. Yeah, so you're progressing pretty quickly, obviously. Like for those of you who don't know, I'm gonna share some video of you doing some of these crazy moves. Here we go. So yeah, talk a little bit about the backflip. When did you learn to do that? And maybe let's try to kind of break down that move a little bit, and what was most challenging about learning it and so on.
Well, the most challenging part is you rip your wing a lot.
Right.
Yeah, but like once you get nice waves to launch off of, it's not that difficult because basically once you get halfway around, like upside down, then like once you get right there, then the wind will just blow you around. So it's the hardest part is to just pull your board around.
So
Yeah.
is this in Kona? Where is this? Where is this at?
This is Ka'a Point. It's in
Ka'a.
between Honolulu Harbor and Kanaha.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like you're launching off of huge waves. You're just kind of launching off some smaller chop, right? It looks like.
Yeah, some little swells.
Okay, so talk a little bit about the approaching the jump. I think that's something that most people overlook, that when you're jumping, it's really important to kind of come low and then get your foil at a really steep angle on the exit, right? Like this, you can see how your foil is kind of going up at a pretty steep angle.
Yeah, and especially with the backflip, what I was trying when I was first learning it is I was just like going super fast and trying to spin like as fast as I can. But I learned that it's easier to do it slower when you have a bigger ramp and stuff.
Okay, so getting more height and just rotating a little bit more slowly.
Yeah.
And then you really throw back your head. Is that like, does that, I guess that just helps you commit to the rotation?
Yeah, it helps me rotate better, and it's just how I do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you ripped a lot of wings. So is that from when you lose your board and it falls onto the wing on the landing, or how did you rip the wings?
Well, sometimes I just pop up and there's a rip in my wing.
Huh.
So I'm guessing it's probably from like when I land and say my board gets like falls off my feet, it like that's kind of, and then it'll flip over onto the wing. So that's what happened the most. But there were some times where like I would fall onto, my wing would like fall onto my foil. So it's not all perfect.
Not all what you see in the videos.
Yeah. And then your grandpa has to get it fixed for you?
Yeah.
My dad, he just got he's amazing. He got a sewing machine. So he's like he's been doing like all these little projects with making little harnesses and leashes that work really well for my dad. I don't know, do you use them or no?
Yeah, I have one of his.
But he's like Mr. MacGyver. So like my dad was like the original van life guy. Like when we were kids, we had this van that we'd pack all our stuff into and go down to Baja. And that was, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And now it's like the rage is van life. And my dad was a builder. And that's actually how we started windsurfing, is he was building a house for a guy, and the guy was stoked on windsurfing. And for my dad's birthday, he gave him a windsurfer. And so he just started windsurfing. And I always want to write that guy that gave my dad the windsurfer, because it changed our lives. It changed Kaden's life. Just to, like this one dude who gave my dad a windsurfer for his birthday. And now we're in Maui. We got the shop. We got, I when I was traveling, I traveled 4 million miles on American Airlines, so like from that one dude, both my brother and I have been so blessed, like just like seeing the world, doing all this fun stuff. And it's crazy that a sport can take you, having fun. Sure, we worked hard at it, but we had the time of our lives just from this, kind of from this one guy.
That's
And
awesome. That's a great story. Yeah, you should definitely contact him and tell him, hey, look what you started.
yeah, I mean, and my mom and dad both live here, and
Your whole
even
family.
his other
So,
grandparents just moved here, so it's pretty cool.
where in California did you grow up?
We grew up in like the worst spot ever for windsurfing, I think. It was kind of like in between San Diego and LA, and then inland. So
Oh,
it was like Riverside area, and there's a couple lakes around where my dad got the windsurfer. It was built. He was building houses in Canyon Lake, it's called, and it was terrible for windsurfing, but still it got us hooked, enough to get all this, just from him doing it. We the first place I learned, I was like 7, so I was smaller than him, and they only had big gear back then, and my dad had advanced to the ponds. It was like these 200-300 meter long ponds, percolation ponds out in the middle of the desert, and it was the windy spot where you could, you wouldn't get in trouble if you drifted downwind or whatever. And my parents had been learning on the original windsurfer, and then they got smaller and smaller gear. And I remember one day I was just sitting in the car. I was like so bored. I'm like, Dad, just let me try this shortboard, And they're like, no, you can't do it. You got to learn on the longboard or whatever. And I'm like, just let me try it. I'm so bored. And I remember it still, like probably the only thing I remember my childhood, but I remember getting on the windsurfer, and like somehow after watching him for so long, I just got on it and I went flying down the pond, and my board, I was like wheeling down full plane, like 9 years old on this tiny windsurf board, and I was flying down it. And after that, I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to do that again. I had to walk back, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, somehow just watched what they did. And yeah, that first little glide, changed all our lives, changed you're in Maui because of that first sensation, or Oahu.
yeah, definitely changed my life too. Yeah.
Yeah, for that first sensation where you're like, oh my gosh, you're harnessing the wind, something you can't even see, and it blasts you down down the water, and it's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, and then that's awesome. Good history.
How does it feel when you're on that wing? You're like flying, right?
Yeah, maybe Kaden, talk about your very first experience when you first got on the wing foiler and how that was learning it.
Well, the first time I got on the wing foil, I didn't really get up on foil, like I just got up and then I fell. And then 2 days later, I got up on foil and I went all the way in on foil, and I was just like, this is the best sport ever. It's like could be better than surfing. And then since then, I just like kept going every day, and yeah.
Awesome. So before you started wing foiling, you never foiled before? That was how you learned how to foil as well?
Yeah, that was the first time I learned how to foil. Or actually, I think I went out on the tow foil with you. Like, yeah, that was the first foiling experience I think I've had.
All right. Right on. So, Kaden, do you know about how much you weigh?
I'm about like 85 pounds.
85 pounds. So can you talk a little bit about the gear you use now? Like what size board and wing and foil?
Yeah, well, I've been using, like, I used to be always like the guy on the biggest wing out there, and now I've realized that the smaller the wing, you can do more tricks and spins with it. So my go-to has been 2.8,
And so what brand is the one that you're using, the 2.8?
I'm using the Gastra wings
Okay.
because they're like they're not super stiff. It's like you can, when you do this stuff, they'll like bend in the ways that you need them to, and that's super nice for me because I'm such a stiff wing. Like it would be really hard to do the flips because it would just want to, it wouldn't bend for me and whatever.
So the 2.8, do you use that pretty much all the time, or do you have a bigger wing for lighter wind and the smaller wing for stronger wind, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have the 2.8 is for super windy conditions, and then I have a 3.5 and 4.2, and then I actually took my brother out foiling on a 5.2, and I don't think I ever want to do that again. It's such a big wing.
Did you see that? I think did you post the video or just the shot?
Just
Oh yeah, let me share that. I saw there's a photo of you on your Instagram account. Yeah, this one here.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool because I took the photo, but yeah, they went out and it was a really light wind day. I think it was Grandpa's birthday, huh?
Yeah.
We were all down there kind of cruising with my dad for his birthday. And I went out, and this is kind of funny. It was too light for me. So I drifted downwind, and then this guy comes running down the beach. He's like, "Oh, I'll get that for you." And he like sails it back up. I'm like, "Whew, this is kind of, a little humbling to have this little brother help me out, but way better than carrying it back up." So I didn't care. And then he gets out and he's like, because when he was 3, 4, 5, something like that, I took him windsurfing and we did it tandem and we were like going out. I had a great time. He looked like he had a great time.
Yeah.
And his mom and dad are kind of little conservatives. And so when I took him out, I was like, we were going full speed out, doing big old jumps and stuff. And we actually jumped so high, we broke the board in half.
Yeah.
Together on the tandem. So that was pretty funny. And then it was cool to see him take out his little brother. And at first they're going, and I'm like, "Come on, Kaden, get him on the foil. Just get him on the foil." And finally they got up and they were like cruising around on the foil, and then they even did a jibe on the foil.
Yeah.
Didn't even, like, who does that? I can't even do a jibe on the foil barely. So it's pretty fun to watch.
That's a huge wing for you too, and board, I guess. Yeah, it's like adult size.
Yeah, it was huge everything because the first time I took him out, I was on GoFoil 130 with a 17.5 tail and 36-inch mast, and then I went back out on the Eva front wing and the Kai tail, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is so much lift." And then I got up, and next time I want to try smaller foils.
I want them to put foot straps on the thing so they can do big airs.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you're using GoFoils, Gastra wings, and who's making your boards?
Well, Fabian, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Fabian's making my boards. The brand is Taboo, and yeah, we're doing lots of experiments with the boards, and I really like that.
Do you have one of your boards there that you can show us, kind of how it looks and stuff, the shape? So I guess you also so after you started wing foiling, you also started prone surf foiling?
Yeah, this is my surf foil board, and I also wing it.
Okay.
And I love this board for wave riding and stuff because it's really turny and then it has a nice nose and rocker and all of that stuff.
Do you know how
Can you
long
show
it
us
is?
the bottom shape too? It looks like a double concave, pretty hard edges, and then like a kind of concave rails, beveled rails with concaves. And then show us what the size and volume is about on that board.
I think this board is 25 liters and it's 4.0.
Wow.
So
Okay. And then you just have two foot straps that are in the center. So do you, when you switch directions, you always switch your feet, or most of the time, or you ride with your feet in the same place?
What were you saying?
Oh, I mean, do you switch feet or do you keep them in the same position mostly?
I switch my feet most of the time because when I do the backflip, my feet are switched in goofy foot, but I'm regular foot. So that's also what made the backflip a little harder.
So can you do the backflip going both directions? Can you do it going in too?
I haven't tried yet because I haven't really got like a good ramp to do it off of.
Because it seems like Jeffrey Spencer does his backflips always going in, right? Coming in on the way in, right? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to try them off of a wave or like a wind chop.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was talking to the guy Tituan Galea from New Caledonia. They had a contest and they were doing backflips in flat water, basically straight offshore wind, total flat water. And they were, I guess it's definitely possible you just have to kind of really get some height and push off on the jump,
Yeah, I want to try it on flat water, but I'm kind of scared.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's a lot easier with a shorter mast because you can rotate it.
Right.
What you didn't talk about your foil.
Yeah, and then maybe show us your foil setup too. Like what length, how long is your mast?
Well, my mast is a 36-inch mast. Oh,
that's pretty long.
Yeah, it's really long. But for the flips and stuff, I was on a 32.
Okay.
Here, and I'm on the NL 100 for GoFoil and the 12 and a half tail.
Okay.
So that was what I did for the flip, and then I also was on the TKR 80 for that one video that you were showing of the flip.
Oh, nice. Changes or what you're hoping to do in the future?
Well, I am hoping to make some foil. I don't know how it would be shaped or what, but this is for surf foiling and wing foiling too. But I would want something that turns super well and then pumps super well for surf foiling. And then for wing foiling, I would want something fast and really turny. So I like turning.
Yeah. So fast, probably thinner profile and so on. Yeah. But yeah. And by
that's one nice thing about the GoFoil stuff is Alex is down at the beach and he's been very generous to Kaden, like with prototyping stuff. And before Kaden, this guy, he's a bit stubborn on changing stuff. Once he likes something, he's like, no, not going to do it. I'm going to go on my 4.2. Yeah. I'm going to go on my 4.2. And I was telling him, I'm like, oh, Kaden, you need a smaller wing. You can go higher and faster and this and that.
And I finally learned it.
And then, then Alex will be like, hey, maybe you should try this. Maybe you should try that. And
then I did that.
Then,
yeah. Well, I mean, it's great to have Alex. I mean, Alex is such a pioneer of foil design and so on, and he's always experimenting and tinkering, right? So it's cool to have him help you out. Yeah, for sure. So what do you mean by pop when you say like you want the foil to have pop? Is that like just like to get more height when you jump kind of thing, popping out of the water, I guess?
Well, I think more pop for me, it's usually like a short tail, like really short there because I can lift out of the water and I already have a lot of pop. So and I think more pop would be great. So those are the fails of the backflips.
Okay.
But it's pretty crazy. You can go from May 8th or so to June 8th and be totally nailing them.
So what are you doing differently now? What were the mistakes that you were making at first? Just not getting high enough, or rotating the sail differently, or what do you do differently now? Do you know?
Yeah, I was rotating the sail where I would like put it behind my back like that, and then I would like you see how I put it like behind right there?
Yeah.
And now I'm like letting it go under me, and that helps a lot with the rotation. And then I just needed a little more height to do them.
That was at the harbor too, so that was kind of flat water.
And that was pretty flat water. Like this one, I had like a little ramp.
You make it look so easy.
Yeah, amazing. But yeah, and actually, let's talk a little bit about the this other move, the upwind or the upwind 360 or Slaka, and it looks like you're doing these ones now where you're rotating the other way and then flipping around. So like first rotating and then doing the Flaka move. So can you talk a little bit about that move and how, break it down for us?
Yeah, well, I think with that first tweak right there, I do that it helps me almost get a faster rotation because I like go and then I just spin.
It's like you're winding up the spring kind of thing.
Yeah, and then it also like because before when I used to do them, I would like do them straight like out of the water. But I've been realizing that it's a lot easier when you jump, wait, and then when you start coming down, then you do it.
Okay. So it's kind of like in windsurfing when we do forwards, like sometimes you go up first and you stall and then you throw yourself into the rotation. So maybe it's that's kind of what it is. So I've been working on that move too, and I've been pulling off maybe 1 out of 10 or something like that. But do you have any tips on, like, for me, I always struggle with the landing and the wing coming around, and then like what do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, I think what I do is I really try to keep the wing as high as I can, like so that it doesn't hit the water.
Okay.
And it helps a lot to have the smallest wing that you can be on. And yeah, it definitely, like with the rotation, it's a lot easier with the smaller wing, and then it spins better. And for the landing, it'll whip you around right in that last part, and then that'll pull you right up back onto the foil.
Yeah.
So
have you tried doing this move on a wave?
Yeah, I've done some on the waves. Sometimes like I can't really get up on foil straight away like what I did on that one. It's hard to do that for me. So most of the time I would do it, land, and then I would have to like pump, and then I would go out the back of the wave, but then I would just go back into it.
Yeah. So. I'm trying to figure out too. It looks like you almost pretty much rotating the wing at the very end, like when your foil already touched the water, like the last part of the rotation, really, where
Yeah,
you
I
bring
like
it through the wind.
Yeah, I like doing that because since it like has the forward momentum, it'll just lift me straight up onto the foil, like what it did there.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how you just pull out of it right up on back on the foil again without, like when I do it, I don't, like I kind of do the last part of the rotation almost in the water and while I'm bringing the wing around and then kind of pump myself back up, but it's almost like I stop and you're kind of still moving forward on the landing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's why like when you do the wing rotation further towards the bottom, it'll give you that forward momentum to get back up on the foil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the wing? Do you have any tips for like how you hold the wing, or do you try to kind of have less power in it, or?
What I try to do is I try to like go off of a little chop or something, and then when I do it, I like to do them in holes of wind, like where there's a hole so that you can rotate the wing.
So it's not too, you don't want super strong gusts when you're doing it, right?
Yeah, I would rather do them like underpowered, not like, because it's harder to do them in super strong winds.
Right.
I think too, though, his definition of strong winds is really strong because this summer it's been
40.
30 to 40 every single day, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy wind over here on Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then this one too, it's like you bringing the wing through the wind after the foil touches down, really, or after you already touched the water, right? Yeah. So it's pretty late in the move when you actually spin the wing around.
Yeah, definitely. I like doing it for closer to the water, because sometimes like when I do it above the water, I would just have like a bunch of extra time to like rotate again or whatever, and then I usually mess up or something.
Right.
It looks like you almost like pump it. It's almost like a pumping thing when you whip it right around at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first back loop I made
Oh, really?
ever.
Finally made one. So that looks like a pretty big ramp too.
Yeah, I needed a bigger ramp more in the start.
Right
And
on.
there were some where I had too big of a ramp where I over rotated and ate it.
So what happens when you over rotate?
Well, what happened once was like I did it and then I like had the perfect landing and then I like landed like that and backflipped and got the wind knocked out of me.
Oh, yeah.
I try not to go off of ginormous ramps anymore because it really hurts to land like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Zane Schweitzer does them like off of big waves at Ho'okipa, like just really throwing himself backwards, and looks pretty crazy. But I guess that way you can definitely rotate all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, I think the bigger the wave, the slower you have to rotate. And back when I was first doing them, I would just rotate as fast as I could. So I did a lot of over rotations.
So let's talk a little bit about more basic stuff. For a lot of the people listening are just getting into wing foiling. So, and then also actually, Kevin, maybe you can talk a little bit about your first experiences with foiling with the windsurf board, and like, you know, what are the challenges and so on, and any advice you can give.
Yeah, I think for me, Actually, for me, I think the wing is almost the easiest platform to learn on, because you even when I was first towing, because I thought, oh, that's going to be the easiest. You're in the jet ski driver's in control, like you just want to let go a little bit, slow down a little bit. With the wing, you can just let it out, where, if you're behind a boat or whatever, it takes a lot of, coordination, especially in the swells. Like maybe on a flat water, it's different, but I was always learning on the waves. And I don't know, for me, the windsurfer it's pretty fun going back and forth and stuff. Actually, the other day we were out at Kuau.
And he did a backflip.
Yeah. So I've been hearing about him doing backflips. So I'm like, oh, I'll show Kaden how to do a backflip with the windsurfer. So kind of doing that. And it's interesting to watch his rotations and stuff. And there's just so much lift with those foils. If you get them in the right way, you can just kind of flip off of nothing. So.
But with the windsurfer, you have to go a lot higher.
Yeah, it feels to me when I'm doing it on the windsurfer, it feels super low. But then you see a picture of it, and maybe it's because you're 36 inches off the water when you start or something. But it looks kind of high. But
yeah, it definitely feels a lot lower than what it is in the video.
Yeah, even like your shots, you're going pretty dang high.
Yeah, it feels like I'm probably going like 4 feet.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun how the foil can work through all the different sports, whether it's surfing or stand up. I think that's how my dad got into the foiling, is he was doing stand up paddling. And then, you paddle, you get a little ride, a little glide, and then you're done unless your Zane Schweitzer are pumping back out in circles and stuff. But these guys you can pump out for a couple waves.
Yeah, that's like the nice thing that I like about prone foiling is you can like surf the wave. It helps a lot with foot straps, but you can like surf the wave like you're surfing regularly. But then when you kick out, you don't have to paddle all the way out. You can just pump to the next wave or pump back out to the lineup.
You should see this kid's legs. They're like, look at his muscles. They're like massive for an 11-year-old. I was down the beach, and he comes in. He's got 6-pack of abs, muscles ripped off, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? And he's just winging every day and using those muscles.
That's great. Yeah. So you said, Kevin, you're just starting to wing foil?
Yeah, I do it. I did it with when my dad was down there for his birthday and stuff. But it's pretty fun, and the different spots, like in Baja where I was, it was kind of perfect for winging, like a slower, fatter wave. So you're kind of get that cruisy kind of feel, and like he said, you don't have to paddle back out, which is nice with the wing if you're not a super foil back out person, which I'm not. But I'm just learning a little bit. It's always fun to just try different sports and stuff, and I can go out and back and do tiny jumps, but that's about it.
I think having a windsurfing background helps a lot with wing foiling, because the wing handling is very similar. You do have to kind of learn how to control the height of the wing, because that's, and the windsurfer, it's attached to your board. So you just can sheet in and out. But this is like a 3-dimensional thing where you have to actually control the direction of the wing too, right?
That's what I was thinking about one time with the windsurfer. If you could have like, those old wind weapons?
Attached to the board. Yeah.
And they like twist it up. I wonder how it'd be fun to get one of those nowadays and see how it works. Maybe that. It might just be something different, but it'd be cool to try one or see what it is. And I was always thinking, well, maybe because that's the hardest part is once you're on a wave, you need to get rid of the power, if you have too small a sail, you can barely get on the foil. And I don't know, the windsurfing with the waves is hard on the foil, I think. But again, I just probably need to do it more and stuff.
This is pretty good.
So I was gonna ask you, Kaden, on your wing, it looks like you have like one of your straps is, or the handles is like a rigid handle in the back. Is that right? Or, and let me see if I have a closer video where it shows.
Yeah, the newer wings, it's like a boom as the back one.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's nice because you can move your hand like whatever way you want. And it's nice for like the 360s and stuff, because sometimes you come down and like you're not in the perfect place and you need to slide your hand forward, slide it back. It's really nice.
But so it's just like attached with like nylon straps or something though, or
it's like it's attached with just fabric that
Webbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it still moves around quite a bit. I mean, yeah, I keep thinking it would be nice to have like rigid handles that are just give you a really you know, direct control of the wing, you know, where they don't flop around at all. But yeah, that's kind of what I wish. Like that's what I'm trying to work on right now, is like making some more rigid handles.
Yeah, Gashta is actually coming out with like they're strapping the boom, they're making that boom thing basically, but they're having it on with plastic. They're mounting it on basically.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna put a carbon pipe in it, and it'll make it super rigid. Like.
What kind of wing do you use?
Well, right now I use PPC wing. It's called. It's like a New Zealand company that makes wings, and that's kind of my favorite right now.
Do you do the Blue Planet boards or?
Yeah, we make foil boards and wing foil boards. We've been doing that for quite a while now, and yeah, those are good.
Are they made on Oahu or?
No, we make prototypes on Oahu, but the production is in China. So I mean, I've been looking into making boards here, but it's just so expensive. I mean, just the overhead and the labor costs and stuff like that. It's and then regulations and permitting and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a nightmare.
Right.
So I haven't made that step. I mean, but on Maui, I guess the cannery is a pretty cool place because there's like so much innovation coming out of there, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wild how it just Maui seems to breed that innovation of stuff, you know. I mean, different athletes and different, you know, from surfing to windsurfing to stand-up paddling, and it's wild too to me, like how kind of windsurfing gets shuffled under the rug, but like 90% of all the athletes from the last 20 years have come from windsurfing. You know, Laird, Rush Randall, all these guys, all windsurfed, you know, and you know, whether it's their kids or whatnot, you know, it's you know, Alex, amazing windsurfer, you know, and all the brands too are kind of from windsurfing, you know. And,
and a lot of the technology as well. I mean, you know, I think surfing's just been so stuck in, you know, the polyester construction and thruster fins and whatever. Like it's just like not a lot of innovation happening. And then when windsurfing came around, everybody was like trying so many different things, and the whole composite construction and making boards lighter and stronger and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that all came from windsurfing, not from surfing, really.
Yeah, I think too, like it feels like you know, windsurfers are kind of more techie than surfing. Maybe, I mean, maybe it's changing a little bit now, but you know, and the foil, that's half the reason I don't really love the foiling is because for, you know, 25 years I was just tinkering with windsurfing stuff, and you know, it was pretty, you know, when you're at the top level, a couple millimeters here and there makes a huge difference. So to come and start tinkering with the foil, it's a lot of work for me. So it's just it's nice to come and like you go out on my dad's stuff, it's all trimmed perfect, you just hop on it and go and it works, and you know, you're not like, oh, this change this, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're talking about millimeters in windsurfing. I mean, I think on the foil, it's even more, it's like micromillimeters. Yeah. I mean, because you have so much less surface area in the water, and like any little change makes a noticeable difference. Like even like a half a degree angle in your tail wing can be noticeable, you know, so it's pretty amazing.
It's pretty crazy for
and
sure.
like, if you do it any skinnier, it'll make it faster. Any fatter, it'll make it slower. So
Kaden, do you play around with that? Like, do you kind of play around with your foil setup? Kevin was saying you like to, when you find something that you like or that works, you just kind of try to keep the same thing, or?
Well, now that like foils are getting so new technology and stuff, I've been trying a lot of stuff, and I'm liking so much more stuff, and all these new foils that are coming out are amazing.
Yeah, Alex will bring him down like a couple different foils, like custom ones to try, and it's probably opening his mind a little bit, you know, you just got to try it, you know. So
I'm learning a lot about lift and all that stuff. So it's all the homeschool year was also foil homeschool year.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's definitely pretty high tech stuff that everyone's working on. I mean, I interviewed Kaden a while too, and he's really into like foil design and computer design and all that engineering type stuff.
I've been towing in with my tow partner is Jason Polkow, so another great windsurfer. And we've been using Kaden stuff for the tow foiling.
Yeah.
And again, Jason and I were just out there just like Muppets, just like, why can't we do this? Why can't we do this? Because we, you know, we're okay, talented people. And we'd be shimming it and we'd be like, oh, this doesn't work. We'd move it like 2 inches, didn't work. And then we had Kaden come out with one of his foils, and we took him out, and he's just like, boom, 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 gets it set up. And they're like, oh, there you go. You know, like, what are you doing? You know, so.
Yeah. Moving something 2 inches is probably like way too much, right?
Yeah, we'd learned nothing. And I got so frustrated with it, you know, because you're, especially on the toe end with the bigger waves, it's, you know, death defying. I mean, I'm not going in huge waves, but, you know, you're going down that wave so fast, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
And some of Kane's stuff is really good because he's on it, and he's, you know, making custom foils up at the cannery up here, and he knows what he's doing. So it's pretty nice to have a little bit more stability, and for what we're doing, probably the production stuff isn't really, you know, there's not many people that are towing with foils, you know, out in Maui. So it's kind of cool to have him do some stuff with us.
Okay. You know, something I always like to ask everyone is how much of your skills is like just natural talent that you have, you know, naturally, and how much of it is, you know, practice, time on the water, and training, and just.
I think Kaden and I are very opposite in that answer, where for me, I takes repetition. Like my windsurfing days, I was out there every day, any condition whatsoever, you know, just hammering on it. And kind of that was what I think kind of separated or put me into the, you know, world title scene, is that I was like one of the first guys to, well, my brother and I, and we had a little group of people, and we were the first guys to take it seriously. Like, weren't going out partying, weren't, oh, it doesn't look good. So, we were out there every day, any conditions, cold, stormy. Oh, here comes a storm in Maui, which we don't get. Oh, we're going to go train for when we're in Europe, and, we're in this miserable conditions. We're out there. So where he starts one thing, like even his mountain biking when he was like 4 years old, he's like doing these huge jumps down the hill. Then he won't do it for like 2 months, and then it'll be better than me. And I'm like, well, how did you do that? You haven't even ridden your bike in like 6 months.
I don't think I have ridden my bike in like a year.
I know. We have this cool mountain bike up in Makua Forest, and you kind of flow trail down. And I remember taking him up there, and just this little tiny kid just sending all the jumps. Yeah. And maybe awesome. That's why you enjoyed the winging, because you get to jump so high.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even then, with his backflip, you saw on May 6th, he tried it the first time, and then on May 12th, he's landing them. And now he's boosting huge stuff, so.
Yeah. So, but maybe you can answer it, Kaden, like, how do you feel? Is it talent or practice or both?
I think my one talent that helps with everything that I do that's on the water is, I would say I have pretty good balance, and that helps me with a lot of stuff.
I think too, he's got a trampoline. Every kid who has a trampoline, it's pretty cool because you can do those backflips. And I remember you had like a skateboard with straps on it, so you can kind of visualize. What do you think?
Yeah, it's scary.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, I always think of balance as not something that you're naturally born with, really, but it's something you can practice, right? So if you're doing sports all the time that require you to have good balance, your balance is going to naturally get better, right? So, and then that helps you with everything you do, probably, right?
Yeah, it's definitely like, if I didn't have good balance, I doubt I would be where I am now.
What about visualization, or like doing moves in your head? Do you do that? Do you kind of try to visualize it before you get in the water?
Well, for me, sometimes I like try them in the water, like just with my wing and without my board. I would just like visualize pulling the wing backwards, and then I do some flips on my trampoline, like with my hands doing the backflip, and that helped me so much.
Oh, you know what else I saw him do that's pretty cool is winging with the one wheel. That looks like a good thing for beginners.
Oh, on a one wheel, huh? You were doing that? You don't even need wind for that, right? You just, yeah.
But you get the feel of the wing, and then, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. That Baltz Muller was saying the same thing. He was practicing his backflips on the trampoline before he was doing them on the water, just to figure out the wing handling. Because that's pretty tricky, because you can really kind of get backwinded or falling on top of the wing, right? That's seems to be one of the tricky parts.
I bet I didn't take the wing on the trampoline, but I feel like it would definitely help with taking the wing on the trampoline, on a bigger trampoline, because mine's a lot smaller.
Right.
They're small, but it would be a lot easier than doing them with the foil like straight away and then just landing on top of the wing. Like, my friend tried them straight away with not really knowing how to do a backflip on the trampoline, and then he just couldn't get that flip dialed in. But now he knows how to do it on the trampoline, so he'll be landing them soon.
So he learned it. Oh, he learned it on the trampoline, and then he went.
No, he didn't learn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, so for you, Kaden, like what's a typical day like for you? Like let's say you're during when you're homeschooling and just like a typical day for you.
Well, homeschool for me, I would start at 9 o'clock.
So what time do you wake up? Do you wake up early or do you try to sleep in till the last possible moment or
I wake up at like 6:30.
okay.
So I try to wake up early, and then I'm super tired and I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna go bounce on the trampoline to get my blood flowing. And then I go do that, and then I have breakfast, and then I sit and do stuff until 9 o'clock, and then from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock I do my homeschool, and then my grandpa comes and picks me up at like 12:30, and then we go down wing till like 4, and then I come back here and clean all my stuff and put it where it goes, and then same thing the next day. But if there's no wind, then I would probably wake up at 6 and then go prone foiling before school.
Because the conditions are usually better early in the morning on Maui.
Yeah.
Before the wind kicks in. What about your typical day, Kevin? Like what does your day look like?
Pretty similar, except for without the schooling. Don't go to homeschool. Usually I do like a little, computer work and, see what's happening for the day, check the conditions. And if it's good.
Do you have like a morning routine? Like when you get up, do you do like exercises? Do you have coffee? Like what do you do?
I exercise by scrolling through the, Instagram.
You wake up and get right on your phone and look at Instagram?
Exactly. Yeah, kind of. Recently, I've been looking for a sailboat. That's been my like focus. That's why I was on Oahu. I was over there checking out boats. I got a slip down at Maui, so I need to get a boat in there. And I have a van over on the mainland, a Sprinter van, and I love exploring. That's like why I like going to Baja so much. So now my dream is kind of to have that Sprinter van in the water in a sailboat and kind of check out the islands, be able to go over to Oahu and, hopefully get these guys into exploring a little bit more, go over there, be able to, wing and kind of do fun stuff off the boat. So that's kind of been my focus recently.
Oh, that's cool. So is this going to be as a hobby recreationally, or are you also planning to do like charters and stuff like that, or is it more just for fun?
No, just a hobby.
Just a fun tool. Cool.
But it's hard right now, like, because for me, it seems like everybody on Maui is making money doing like churro or this and that, and then I'm just out cruising, and I'm like, man, maybe I should do the.
Well, it's great if you can. If you don't need to make money, that's good.
Yeah, you always like to make money though. But,
Yeah, good. Yeah. So where do you see the future of the sport going? Like what for wing foiling, and what are your goals? Like what do you hope to do in wing foiling, Kaden?
I'm hoping to learn how to do a front flip before I'm 12. So
that's coming up soon, though.
When are you turning 12?
August 17th.
Okay, yeah, that's enough time. If you learn to backflip in 1 month, then you can learn to forward flip. Right?
So the other day I was down. There's this guy Trictionary. Have you heard that book?
Yeah.
He's doing a wing book, and
cool.
So I went down to take pictures of Jeffrey and doing that forward thing and Finn, and holy smokes, I'll be impressed to see you do that, because like you guys were talking about with the the stall of when he's doing the spins and stuff, like he goes up and just goes up, and then he kind of kicks it out too, and then throws it forward, and it's just like, whoo, looks scary.
Yeah.
But
But I mean, I think it does look kind of similar to doing forwards on the windsurfer. It's like you're throwing yourself kind of sideways more than straight forward, right? But I don't know.
Are other people besides Jeffrey and them doing the forwards, or?
Tituan is doing it. I was talking to him about that. And I was asking him for pointers, and he's like, I don't have any pointers. I'm just trying to figure it out myself. I don't know yet.
Yeah. Have you had Jeffrey on your podcast?
Well, yeah, I interviewed him. I haven't published it yet, but that'll be out probably before your guys' one will post. So it takes me a while to edit the footage after I do it all. So
yeah,
I enjoy interviewing more than the editing process.
Yeah.
But cool. So what about, do you think Kaden, that you're going to do this like as a job professionally, like making money with wing foiling, or is it just going to be fun for you, or what do you think?
I have no idea what it's going to be. It's either I don't know.
Do you think you're going to try to do any of those events like the world what is it called, the World Wing Foiling Tour or whatever? They're having those World Championship events.
Yeah, I want to do one here first and see, because I think they're gonna do one over here soon, or I don't know. But there's supposed to be one this summer for something, but I don't know if it got canceled or whatever. But I want to see how I do in one over here.
Mm-hmm.
If I do really good, then maybe I'll start doing those. I don't know though.
Wasn't there like a foil contest on Maui this last weekend? I thought there was, like, I donated some prizes for a foil contest. Did you hear about that?
I heard about it in Lahaina. It was just a stand-up or a.
They did prone and stand-up, and then the second day was supposed to be wing foiling. I don't know.
Huh?
You didn't.
I haven't heard.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
you should have done that, huh? Oh, well.
Yeah.
But the level over here, there's quite a few kids that are really ripping, like some of his friends, you're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
So it'll be good. If there's a contest here, it'll be pretty high level for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Maui is definitely kind of the epicenter of the progression.
It's pretty wild seeing him grow up here. Like, we grew up on this tiny lake in the middle of California. And I always say to my brother, I'm like, man, just imagine if we had this set up when we were kids. We would have turned out to be pretty good. But
well, I think one of what you guys had was that sibling rivalry, right? So like two brothers, kind of, you guys trying to outdo each other, right? So you always pushing each other, and I think that's also very valuable, I think, in sports, right?
Yeah, for sure. That was like 100%. I mean, that's for sure. We were best friends. We trained together. We lived together. We pushed each other. When we were young, he'd do a move, and then I'd be like, oh, I can do that. And then he'd be like, oh, I can't let my little brother do it. So better than me. So he'd push it. And one cool story we had was when he was 16. He just got his driver's license, and I was 13 or 14. And my parents let us take our van. We had like a windsurf van. They let us take it from Southern California, drive it all the way up to the gorge, just the two of us, and spend a month up in Hood River, just windsurfing and having fun. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine sending him with, well, you're going to be like that. He has a younger brother too, obviously. So.
Well, but he's still 11, right? So, I mean, maybe when you can drive, you can do stuff like that.
Yeah. But still, that was like one of the best summers ever. So it's pretty wild that, looking back, like that my parents let a 16-year-old and 13-year-old drive, 1,000 miles by themselves up to the gorge. and it's pretty fun. But we learned a lot, and we had a lot of fun.
Is Matt older than you or younger?
Older, yeah.
Oh, so you were not even 16 yet. You were like 14 or 15, or how old were you?
I was like 13 or 14, something like that.
That's cool. And then you were just
but we had friends around that were old. Like all our lives, we've been around older people, because I mean, windsurfers are old, but like our best friends were our parents growing up because they wanted to windsurf. My parents are super young. My dad just turned 70, I think. So, he was, when we were 15, he was only 35 or whatever. I'm not doing the math right now, but, so he was super young and we wanted to go windsurfing. And so we were like, we wanted, on the weekends at school, we'd rather hang out with my parents than go party or whatever. So it was pretty cool.
Okay, so I have a question for both of you guys. So I mean, for me personally, and I know this happens to a lot of people, like some days you're on the water and everything's just like you're totally in tune with your gear and the conditions and everything's working. You can pull off all kinds of moves and you're just in the zone. And then the next day, sometimes like you'll go out in the same kind of conditions with the same kind of gear, but like everything, you're just like a kook and you keep falling in and nothing's really working. So how, and it seems like it's not necessarily like the conditions or the equipment, it's more like your state of mind. So is there anything that you do to get into that state of mind, or do you have any pointers on how to avoid being that kook, I guess? or changing your mindset from being a kook to being in the zone?
For me, I feel like I try to always be in the zone because every time that I'm feeling like I'm just not in the mood or I don't really want to go, I'm super tired, then I would just I wouldn't try any crazy tricks or whatever, or I would just not go winging that day. But the times that I do go winging and I'm just not in that state of mind, I just I don't know. I land one move that's hard to do and then I get fired up and I'm like, okay, now I'm good again. That's how I feel.
So sometimes you kind of get into the zone while you're doing it, like kind of thing. Yeah. But yeah, and what about you, Kevin? I mean, sometimes that makes sense that just don't go out when you're not feeling it. But like sometimes if you're competing, right, you don't have that choice. Like your heat is up and you got to go. And like, is there a way you can switch from, how do you switch on that, getting into it,
I don't know. I wonder if that's like something, like, I think that was one of my strong points competing is I was like never really like the best guy, but I was always just there, and just keeping that mentality of just like, being steady and going, performing at a level all the time that's high. And there's those certain moments where you're in the zone for sure. Like you always talk about it, you hear about it, and then when there's certain moments where throughout my career where I was like, oh man, I wasn't even conscious almost. I was just going through it, and it's hard to get into that, I guess, but it kind of just happens. But I think just the more you train, the more confident you are. And so I think that kind of just, for me, it was always the training and just going out there, all conditions, and always, pushing yourself. So.
Right.
I think Kaden's a little more smarter than I am. He when he's not feeling it, he just doesn't go. Where I'd always try to push through, so.
Yeah. Don't be a whiner. Just go.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, that makes sense. So, I mean, I know some people are, it seems like some people are actually better when they're competing. Like it pushes them to perform even at a higher level. Would you say you're kind of like that? Like when you're competing, you're actually better than when you're just practicing, or?
I would say so. Yeah, for sure. For me, I was like, yeah, like I said, never really the like wildest one out there. But then when it came to game time, I would be able to, land all my moves. And my strategy was kind of just do the moves that you can make and, let the other people kind of fall by the wayside. A lot of times I'd go up against these kids and they'd just be, sending it huge, which is cool, but then they would land it. And then I just do my little jump whoop, and advance to the beat a lot of times. So
Yeah.
that was kind of my tactic.
Okay. So like a little bit playing it safe and doing the things you can do and not trying to do crazy stuff that you don't really haven't mastered yet. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So, Kaden, would you say you're kind of obsessed with foiling, or is it just kind of a hobby for you, or would you say like you kind of obsessed and addicted to it, or not really?
I'm definitely obsessed with foiling.
Yeah. So what is it about foiling that makes it so so addictive?
Well, it just feels like you're flying, basically. And that's like with surfing, it's really hard to get into the air, But and when you do get in the air, you're only in the air for like a second. And then with winging, it's just like whenever you're up on foil, it feels like you're flying. And then when you're in the air, you're also flying. So it's like I'm up on the foil, probably. I'm like in the air on the foil, probably like 98% of the time. And then with surfing, I'm in the air like 0.5% of the time.
Yeah. Well, what about prone foiling though? I mean, even that you're on the foil a lot less than when you're wing foiling, right?
Yeah, but I love riding waves. Like in any sport that has wave riding in it, I like want to try it. And with prone foiling, I'm starting to like that more than like when you're in perfect conditions. I like it more than surfing in perfect conditions. Like because you have that glassy, smooth water, those perfect long wave rides, and you can, like, when you're really good, like Kai, Lenny, and Zane, and all those people, you're up on the foil like 50% of the time, pumping around, and that's what I wanna get to that level of like I can pump out and catch like 15 waves before I get tired, but I get tired after like 5 waves. So
yeah, I mean, pumping back out takes a lot of energy. I mean, I don't know, I can't even imagine 15 waves. Maybe 2 waves. That's pretty much it for me. So, yeah. That's awesome. So so other hobbies and cross training and stuff, I guess you do mountain biking. Anything else you guys do for like when it's not windy or not in the water, I guess?
stuff that's not in the water. Well, I have a one wheel, and that helps with like my balance, and with like the wings. Sometimes I would go and practice my tricks, and it's like a lot harder when you're on land than when you're in the water on the wing. So it definitely helps me like get the moves dialed, and then I try to go on the biggest wing that I can be on when I'm on land so that I can practice doing them with the bigger wing And then once I get like good at that, then with smaller wings, like it makes it so much easier because you feel like you can just spin super fast. And that's like my favorite thing to do on land is probably one wheeling and
Trampoline.
trampoline. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is kind of a question for both of you guys. So during the pandemic, a lot of people kind of felt isolated and kind of lonely or, depressed, whatever, anxious, being at home, being stuck at home. So, and I know for us, it's always easier to be like, I'll just go in the water and have fun and everything's fine, But let's say you're kind of stuck inside, like, and you can't go on the water or you can't go outside. What do you do to kind of, if you're having an off day or if you're not feeling great, like what do you do to lift your spirits or to stay positive?
Well, on those days where it's like horrible for any sport and like you just don't want to move or whatever, I usually like watch some winging videos of like new moves that I want to try, and then I like stop them and watch them over and over again, and I see how they do it, and then I want to do it like that. And then sometimes I play like board games like Monopoly. I love Monopoly. It's like it's
Cool.
fun, but it's long.
What about you, Kevin?
I guess a little computer time would probably be. I don't have TV in my house, so I'm not really a big TV watcher. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of bad to say, but for us on Maui, it's been just like the best year ever. Having COVID, it was like so much fun. Like all the spots that normally are, actually now it's back to normal, but like we'd go to Twin Falls, which is this little waterfall, and you go there now, there's like parking directors like telling you where to park, it's full, blah blah blah. During COVID, you just go out there, to this insane waterfall and be like two people, one person. And for me, it was like probably it was the best year I've ever had on Maui after 30 years. So I stayed here during the summertime where normally I go to Hood River or tour around in my van and explore. I stayed here on Maui, and it forced me to explore my backyard. And there's so many cool spots out there, like just hidden spots, different spots. And I would take I'm an e-biker. I love e-biking. And I would just ride every day. I went out there so many times I can't even count. And I would just ride my bike and like explore and explore and explore and go to different waterfalls and different things. And so for me, the COVID was just unbelievable. It was awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, yeah, the thing about like that, the thing that I missed about traveling really was kind of that adventure of seeing new things or exploring and things like that. But you really don't have to go that far to explore, right? You can just go on a trail that you've never been on, and it's like, oh wow, this is cool, So you can have an adventure without getting on a plane and sitting on a plane for 12 hours or whatever, You don't really have to go that far.
Yeah,
and here on Oahu too, like some, when like you would like drive during rush hour and there's like no cars on the freeway, it's like, what's going on? I love this, like get somewhere in like 10 minutes that would take 45 minutes on a normal day, So I think it kind of like over here too, a lot of people are like, why do we really need 30,000 people arriving every day? Maybe 10,000 are enough, So but I guess our economy is pretty dependent on tourism, but it sure is nice to have a little bit less traffic and less people everywhere and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah, I always said it's like the whole world was playing musical chairs of where to go, and we won the game. Like being in Hawaii is like, for one, it was pretty safe, I would say, and for two, it was the best place in the world to be this last year. You know, as far as like everybody's pretty healthy, and I would say the rules were very relaxed compared to my friends in Europe. You know, so it was pretty awesome spot to hunker down and enjoy what the islands have to offer.
Yeah, cool. So Kaden, if somebody asked you what foiling is like and they've never foiled, like how do you explain that sensation of flying on a foil?
Well, I would just say it's like you're flying.
Are you gonna fly though? You should go fly.
Yeah, what if somebody doesn't know how to fly?
Well, like, just it feels like once you get up on the foil, it's like the first time that you get up on the foil winging, it's like there's nothing else like it, because it's you, the wing, the board, and the foil, and you're just floating across the water, it feels like. But like, those are the really good days for doing it in those flat water and not super strong winds.
So what's it like when the wind is super strong? Then it's kind of a little bit more hectic.
Some days for me, it's like I'm holding on for dear life. But then, you know, it definitely balances out. Because there's spots on Maui where you can go, like when there's really light wind. There's usually enough wind to get up on foil in Maui, like every day of the year.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're lucky for sure.
Yeah.
So who else should I interview on the Blue Planet show about wing foiling? Like, who do you think I should talk to?
Well, I mean, Alex Aguera started like the whole surf foiling thing, so I think that would be cool, because I just read this interview thing that someone typed out on a website, and it was really cool to learn about all that stuff. So
Yeah, I already asked Alex actually to be on the show, but he's been busy. So he said when he has some time, he'll let me know. But maybe you can tell him that he should get on the show. Anyone else? Yeah. Anyone else you recommend talking to?
I mean,
what about Annie? Have you had her on there?
I had Annie Reichert on there already on the show. I mean, and I'm trying to get Jeffrey Spencer, Kai Lenny. I don't know. I haven't been able to get them on the show either.
They're busy.
Yeah. But I had Zane Schweitzer. I had Alan Cadiz, Mark Rappelhorst, a bunch of people from Maui.
There's a couple cool guys on the mainland, like Brian Casario. He's a good winger, and you know, kind of pioneered a lot of stuff in California with the windsurfing, and now he's doing winging, and he's into photography and video, and he used to make like side off video with
Oh yeah.
You know, doing all the how-tos and stuff like that, and then he switched to kiting, and now he's into winging.
Okay. Brian Casario. Okay.
Side off video, you could find him through that somehow.
Okay, cool. All right. So
yeah, that was awesome.
So what are your goals with your YouTube channel, Kevin?
Just for fun.
Yeah.
This kid loves that I said vlog. He's like, you know, it's not called a vlog, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that. But I kind of like vlog better than vlog anyway. So.
Yeah, he's like, yep, I am doing my new vlog out here, guys, in Mexico.
Maybe if Kaden's
Like
lucky, I'll
vlog dummy.
my vlog.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been on YouTube for like over 10 years, or Blue Planet, our business been, and it's I think the main thing is just being consistent, like posting on a regular basis, like maybe once a week or even once a month or whatever, but just always coming out with new stuff and not, that's the key, I think. Just
Yeah.
then people start following you, and once you have subscribers, and your videos get more views right away, and then that's how you kind of build momentum. But it takes years. I mean,
it's hard for me because I just see on Maui it's just the same thing, for years and years. But that's where it's kind of cool with the vlog is, you can kind of show your personality and different stuff, and it's not just like this beautiful imagery. I've been into making videos for a while and stuff, so I get kind of like, if I don't do it like to perfection, a lot of times, like a nice, like I love John's like view or whatever, and it's pretty awesome. So the vlog is kind of just, thrown together a little bit more rough and stuff, and kind of trying to be funny a little bit too, and not take life so seriously. So
this jacket is classic. It's like some kind of pimp jacket. Where'd you get that?
The truth to that is I was going to Burning Man and I got all this stuff in my van. And so I was like, oh, I might as well bust it out with this, with the jacket and stuff. So it's pretty
fun.
Cool.
Great outfit. Love it.
Yeah.
For me, from like Instagram and stuff,
yeah,
I try to post something like every week, but it's kind of hard to do it consistently.
Yeah, but that's what your sponsors want to see too, right? Your sponsors want to see your social media presence and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then his parents probably don't want him on social media as well. So
yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, they're like, don't be like Kevin and scroll your Instagram first thing in the morning when you wake up.
Kill your brain cells right off the bat, first thing in the morning. Instagram scrolling.
Yeah, that's funny. So, is there anyone you want to thank for their support in your sports?
For me, I would thank everyone at GoFoil, Taboo, and Gastra and Burn Helmets, and Matt at M22. So all those people helped me so much with my winging, and then my grandpa, my dad, him, professional photographer, and yeah, everyone. Everyone is so amped on the new winging, and it's great to have all the people supporting me.
Yeah, I mean, you're lucky you got your grandpa taking you down to the beach, because it would be pretty hard to do that without having someone drive you, right?
Yeah, it will be a long walk.
What about you, Kevin?
I mean, yeah, similar thing. Like my brother probably was my biggest influence and help of, getting to where I was, and my mom and dad for sure. But it's been an amazing career for me, just to still, even to this day, still in the industry and, still having fun. So yeah, I mean, through Kaden, I wrote to Alex for that Baja video. I'm like, hey, do you think I can borrow a foil just to go down there and play around on it? So that was cool. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Here you go. Blah blah blah. And probably if Kaden wasn't working with them, I probably wouldn't have even thought about it. So it's cool to have somebody that supports him. And Alex has been, I would say, he's pretty cool with you, like helping him out, and even like you were saying, that the homeschool, learning that, oh, little shim here, what that does to the water and stuff. And he's been pretty cool with him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that like foiling is definitely an aeronautical engineering. You really, if you kind of figure out how things work on the foil, that's pretty complex stuff, and a lot of it is just theory too. Like the theory of how the foil generates lift is actually not. It's just a theory, right? It's not like a proven thing. Is it the displacement? Is it the pressure difference? Is it the what, like how the lift is actually created is not like a clear, easy answer, right? So
Yeah.
the speed of the water moving over either surface and stuff like that. So pretty interesting stuff for sure. So yeah, maybe you can study more about that.
Yeah, maybe I'll take them into the.
So it seems like windsurfing seems to be kind of like like I guess when kiting came out, they said windsurfing was canceled or whatever. But I mean, there is still a hardcore windsurfing scene and stuff like that. But it seems like now winging is kind of taking over from both kiting and windsurfing, right? I mean, like the hype about is kind of crazy, yeah, right? Where do you see windsurfing going in the future?
Windsurfing is just takes a beating. Like every time a new sport comes out, they're like, but you still get those hardcore guys. And one of the awesome things about windsurfing kind of falling by the wayside is you can go down to Ho'okipa and there's, the Mecca is like 35, 40 guys out there. Where surfing, I don't even go surfing because I hate all the crowds. There's like 100 people out and all this stuff. So
yeah,
that's what I love about windsurfing. You go down there and, anywhere in the world basically is pretty uncrowded compared to a surf spot. So, but, as far as the industry goes, it's definitely, not a thriving industry. But a lot of the brands have taken up the winging, and so they're still doing well. But
right.
Yeah, it's still an amazing sport that you never get tired of because you can never master it. Like I feel like with the kiting, I love kiting and the feeling of it, but I can see too after if I get better at it, I could probably get bored with it. Where windsurfing, you're just you're always trying to learn that whatever.
Yeah. I wonder if winging is kind of like that, where the progression is so fast that you eventually get bored with it. I don't know. It seems like you can always learn new stuff too on when you're winging, right?
Yeah.
Like we're just in the very beginning. Are there any crazy moves that you've thought of other than the forward loop, like that you want to try or learn?
Yeah, I have. Like, I don't think anyone's ever done it yet, but I want to like pull the board off my feet with the straps and like hold it in my hand. Like, you know how they do that when
Like
kiting?
a Superman jump, yeah.
And then put it back on my feet, but that's pretty impossible. So I want to try. I want to do one of those before. I want to try one of those.
Because that means you would have to hold your wing with one hand and then hold the board with the other hand. And do like.
Yeah, it would be like impossible. Like.
Yeah. Well, you have to have like a middle handle where you can hold the wing with one hand and it's balanced, right? Maybe that could work.
Yeah, well, like with the boom on the gastras.
Yeah.
It's not because there's like this certain spot, like right at the front of the handle, where you can hold it and you can just one hand like the whole way.
Yeah.
I've gotten that dialed. Next, I just have to like. I want to start doing like the 1-footers, like getting them super dialed. I have them pretty good, but he actually got a really cool shot of me doing one, not on purpose.
It was huge.
That sounds like a good way to really hurt your ankles or whatever. You have to be careful with that.
His age doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can recover quickly still. But have you, Kevin? Have you ever hurt yourself in the foot straps or the ankles and stuff like that?
I broke my foot one time getting stuck in the strap. So
in the waves.
Yeah, but other than that, pretty lucky.
Any other major injuries you had in your career? Not really.
Not really. No, been pretty. My brother, I saved those all for him because he was injured a lot.
He like totally broke his leg in half, and then he saved him.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And it
How
was
did that happen?
It was in Baja. He was out there, and we were jumping, and he just like snapped his leg in half. It was gnarly.
Oh,
And
man.
they just rescued him in and stuff, and then had to fly home. Luckily, there was a plane there, so pretty bad. But
Yeah.
we just let him do the braking, and we just take it
But
easy.
I guess overall water sports are pretty safe, like compared to like skateboarding or even mountain biking, you know, because if you do fall on a hard surface, then you're much more likely to hurt yourself. Like professional skateboarders usually have like 20 broken bones by the time they're your age,
Wow.
right?
Or motocross, those guys crash all the time.
like all those pro surfers, they only have like, it's rare for a surfer to break like a bone by just, doing turns, and then like I haven't heard of a winger breaking a bone yet, but I'm sure there's been.
I think there's some bruises.
There's a lot of bruises, yes. I've had bruises.
I mean, people even break their ribs falling on a stand-up paddleboard and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure there's stuff happens all the time, but yeah, it's relatively safe, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
And anything else you want to share with people that are still listening? Like I always say, like by this time, only about 5% of the people who click on the video are actually still watching now. So it's a very elite group of people now that are still listening. Do you have a special message for them?
Well, my grandpa's probably going to be one of them.
Yeah, I'm sure he will be watching.
Yeah, he's watched basically all the ones that you've done, and he's always like telling me stories like, "Oh, you got to listen to this. Oh, this interview on so and so," and he's always watching them all the way through. So I'm sure he'll be on it right now.
Thank you, Grandpa, for listening.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, yeah, thanks for having us. It was fun. Good experience for the kid to be on live TV, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not quite TV, it's YouTube, but yeah, I mean, how do you feel about the community of wing foiling? Like, is it different than like other, like surfing or other sports that you do, windsurfing?
I think it's great. I'm not a huge fan of the surf community so much. There's a couple cool people, but in general, it feels like the wind community, it's, a little bit more positive and happy to help out, where the surf community kind of gets a little territorial. So for me, I enjoy seeing him in the wind community, and, how often is, good surfers going and helping some kid out, like, I mean, they do. Like Ian Walsh is awesome, like Kai Linney, those guys are amazing for the community, but they're few and far between, where I feel like everybody, when they see him do a big air, they're stoked for him, so I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, like I feel like with all the wing foiling people, there's like 1% of the people that aren't always absolutely stoked to be out there.
Yeah, it's rare to see someone with like a scowl on their face, like unless, yeah.
That is because they're so worried. Their scowl is like, "Oh, I'm gonna die."
Yeah. I mean, and getting started it can be pretty challenging, I think, for a lot of people. Like, it's not an easy sport to get right away, but I mean, I guess for you it was kind of, but not for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think once you get up on the foil that one time, then you're hooked forever.
Yeah, I agree.
That's how I felt. So.
Yeah. So when strangers come up on the beach to you, like that have never foiled before, and they're like, "What is that? What are you doing?" Or like, what's the most common question that people ask you?
How do you do that?
How old are you?
Yeah.
So
How
what do you?
old are you? You're
How old are
amazing.
you? Yeah. It seems like the question I get a lot is like, how much does that cost? Like they always want to know how much everything costs. And like, well, it's not an easy answer, but it's pretty expensive. Yeah.
I think too, everything's so new that there's not like used gear so much,
Yeah.
price up.
So when people ask you, how do you do that? What do you tell them?
I just explain it. I mean, they're mostly like they're people that windsurf or kite, and they always like they want to learn a new sport or something, and I'm like, well, I don't really know how I do it, but like, and then I just tell them, once you learn it, you're hooked. So I'm very bad at explaining stuff.
Yeah. Kaden, I guess when Kaileni first posted, like, I don't know, do you remember that when Kaileni posted on social media when he was like foiling on a big race board going downwind on a Maliko run or something like that, foiling on this huge long race board? Do you remember watching those videos? That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah.
I think the first video I watched of foiling was from Laird Hamilton.
Oh yeah, toe and
And
foiling.
yeah, toe foiling, and he got the like snowboard boots on a, like very old back then. And then
Yeah.
I saw some of Kai doing downwinders on ginormous like Nash foil boards.
Yeah.
And then now he's doing prone foiling downwinders on like a 4-foot board, just gets up on swells that aren't even breaking. It's pretty mind blowing and like.
Yeah. Have you done any of that downwind foiling? Have you tried that? And do you do that?
I have done one downwinder. The other one that we tried, it didn't go as planned. But I'm planning on doing a bunch this summer.
All right.
Because it was winter and it was always perfect for wave riding, and the waves were too big to do a downwinder when it was good wind for it. So it was always either like wing foiling in the waves and prone foiling early in the morning and surfing in the afternoons.
There's quite a few guys here doing downwinders now on prone boards, and they usually, they catch a little whitewater wave closer to shore, and then they pump out, and then they they do a downwinder just on their short board, and if they fall, then they have to paddle all the way back in and try to catch another wave, because usually over here it's not windy enough where this wind swell isn't big enough to catch it on a prone board. So, but yeah.
Pretty scary.
Sometimes they end up being like 2 miles out, and then they have to paddle in on a tiny prone board, and it's not a lot of fun. To me, that doesn't seem that exciting. I'd rather take a wing with me or a paddle. But yeah, or have a jet ski or a boat with you that can tow you back into the next one.
That's like my first try for a prone downwinder. I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Jet
ski alongside, because my friend his dad just got a jet ski.
Nice. Then you could accompany both of you guys, maybe, huh?
Yeah. So, and he prones too. And I think if like the worst case scenario would be like we just have to go in, at the next stop. But it would be nice because he could just tow you back up on the foil. Right.
Yeah, that makes it a lot easier. Plus, he can also film you guys then and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you have more footage for Instagram.
Yeah, and he's a professional photographer. So.
Oh, that's a plus.
So it's perfect.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. keep posting on Instagram, Kaden. Those cool moves, it's inspirational. Yeah, and make sure you follow Kaden. I'm sure you have a bright future as a wing foiler or whatever you decide to do with your life, and it's awesome. So, and Kevin, thank you too, and keep posting on YouTube. Try to do it regularly, you know.
Okay, right on. Well, thanks for having us, and that was fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. Thank you.
And then maybe in a year or so, I'll hit you up again, and we'll talk some more about what's new.
Then
when you're 12 years old, or almost 13, huh?
It'll be just him on his own then, because then he's going to be doing such mind-blowing things that I won't even understand them by then.
Yeah, but if you're getting into wing foiling a little bit, you'll have some stuff to talk about as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
I mean, you know, because most of the people that are listening to this podcast are not at your level, Kaden. They're more at my level or Kevin's level.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool. It's inspirational to watch those moves you do, and just keep progressing and show us how it's done.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
Right on. You too. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, there you go. Another episode of the Blue Planet Show. Thanks so much for watching the whole thing. As you know, I'm making this show for you, the people who watch the whole thing and enjoy every minute of it, and for Kaden's grandpa. And I just wanted to let you know too, like every Wednesday morning, I'm doing a live show now on YouTube. So anybody can listen in on the live show, post comments. There's like a live comment feed, so you can make a comment, let me know where you're watching from, what time it is, and stuff like that. It's always cool to see that people are watching. And of course, if you have any questions, just throw out your question. It's more fun to have a conversation with people than just to speak with the camera. So I'm enjoying that. So every Wednesday at 7 a.m. it's the Blue Planet live show, and I go over some news, talk about questions I've had on YouTube from other people that have asked questions that are kind of too hard to answer quickly. So then I just answer them on that live show, and then any other questions that come in during the show, I'll answer them. Hope you can join me next Wednesday at 7 a.m. Hawaii time on the Blue Planet live show. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Thanks so much for watching everything, and we'll see you on the water. Aloha.